RBI gives the bank license to Bandhan and IDFC. As if RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan was just waiting for the Election Commission's nod to come in. A day after the Election Commission really gave the green nod to the RBI to go ahead and issue the new bank licenses, the announcement has been made. Now, the central bank has announced the names of the successful applicants, while the RBI has said that India Post might be able to launch a bank, but only after the central bank has discussed the issue with the government of India. So that's the big story. IDFC as well as Bandhan turning out to be the winners of the bank license, for which there were 25 total applicants, and a lot of them were vying for this particular license. Now, let's first hear out the two winners, Rajiv Lal of IDFC and Bandhan CEO Chandrasekhar Ghosh.
So, immediate plan will be meet with our board, and we will also meet with our senior management team in the tomorrow. And we will make the plan on that on the weekend on my application plan. And then we will go to the RBI to take it with the principal approval later. And then I would like to start the process on that. And I hope that within 1 year we will like to start the plan.
Immediate task at hand is to ensure that within the 18-month period, we are fully compliant with the conditions of the in-principle license, and that in itself for us represents a fair bit of work, because we are a going concern with a largish balance sheet that requires migration of assets, changes in legal structure, all of that. We have a very detailed plan that we now have to put into execution mode.
So those were the two winners. Now Anirudh Ghosh joins us from the newsroom with more details. Anirudh, good to have you on the show. Now, we heard the two winners of the bank licenses. What's the way forward? Because remember, complying with all the bank norms in the 18 months, the stipulated period, is going to be an uphill task. What is the way forward for being bank ready for these two winners?
Well, you know, this is, of course, as we've been mentioning all along, an in-principle approval. So clearly what these guys have to do at this point of time is put forward the concrete plan, including not just the people who are going to head the bank, including the CEO, the chairman, 10-member board. Also, of course, you know, they'll have to comply with the entire holding company structure that the RBI has. And, you know, last but not the least, and most importantly, in fact, they're going to have to put together the funds to meet with all of the requirements, whether it's the CRR, the SLR, the priority sector lending. So remember, you know, this is going to be a huge task for IDFC in particular, given the fact that they have a huge balance sheet, most of which is concentrated on infrastructure lending. So, you know, that is something that you're going to have to really work on in terms of funding. But of course, we heard Dr. Lal say that they have a plan in place and they've already been working on that. As far as Bandhan is concerned, they're going to have to make a plan, you know, in terms of how they're going to be expanding their reach beyond West Bengal, and also whether or not they want to, you know, move their business beyond the microfinance and the rural model is something that they'll have to take a very clear call on. So these are two clear, you know, contrasting elements as far as both of these banking, you know, prospective banks and now banks in waiting basically will have.
And Anirudh, of course, all the aspirants had been making their bit of, you know, plans of being bank ready for a long time now, and that needs to be implemented by these two. But remember, the RBI also said that India Post could also become a bank, could be given a banking license after certain approvals come in from the government. And it doesn't stop here, because the rest of the applicants, which are about 22 of them, could also get, because RBI has clearly stated that more banking licenses could come in. So the hopefuls are in the waiting list now.
Certainly, you know, they haven't ruled out anyone. But the most important thing is that they've actually pointed out one particular entity, and as you mentioned, India Post has been pointed out as one which is eligible for the license as far as their business model and their reach is concerned. But the fact is that it's an entity owned by the government, and it all kind of depends on whether the government is willing to allow India Post to become a bank, and also whether the government is willing to commit that much amount of funds as far as the bank is concerned. Remember, we heard a few people on the channel speak about how the entity is already a huge loss loss-making entity. It's a huge liability on the balance sheet of the government at this point of time. So it's going to take a lot to turn around the India Post model. It's very good in theory as far as the model and the reach is concerned, but it really remains to be seen how the government is going to put together the funds to do this. And also remember, of late, we've seen a few voices coming in from North Bloc, which have been very reluctant to support this particular application from the India Post. So clearly, it is something that really remains to be seen. It also will be possibly a call which is going to be taken only after the new government comes into existence. So it's going to be something that we're going to have to wait and watch. But also, as you mentioned, the other applicants who will now automatically kind of be transferred into the pile of banks in waiting as far as the kind of on-tap licenses are concerned and the differentiated banks licenses are concerned. Remember that those norms are not finalized by the RBI yet. The RBI is yet to put in place and put in practice the kind of guidelines and the norms in formal and in writing as far as the setting up of these differentiated licenses and the giving of on-tap licenses are concerned. So that's still a work in progress, and that's possibly going to be some time from now as far as the other applicants are concerned.
All right, Anirudh, thanks so much for joining us with all the perspective on that big story. And the story isn't over here, because there are going to be more licenses that are going to be doled out by the RBI. But as of now, it's these announcements have got a thumbs up from the government. Banking Secretary is the one whom we spoke to earlier right after the announcement. Hear him out.
Oh, it's a very encouraging development. At least there's a beginning now. And we have to tread very carefully, because this is a sector where we don't want to make any mistakes. So I'm sure things will, as we go along, more things will happen. So the LOI has been being issued. So they will have to come up, they have to fulfill certain conditions. So once they fulfill those conditions, then only they will get the license, which will be, and the time frame is there, 18 months. So within that, they have to fulfill all those conditions, convince about their preparedness before they can begin the banking operations.